It's been culture, it's been vibe, it's been this energy, it's been this entity that you can't really put a finger on it, but you feel it and you know it's there. That's the intangible. So when we're talking to agents about joining our environment, yeah, the tech is there, the tools are there, support are there, but the intangibles are really, really what separates us from any other brokerage out there.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And as you know, I always love interviewing game changers. And today I have a very special guest. I met him through one of our clients for the first time at our Play Bigger event. And I felt like I had known him forever. And we had that a couple months ago. And he is the director of sales and coaching for the fastest real estate team Fast. And welcome to the show, Elias Astuto. Is that it? Did I say that correctly?
You did. Thank you for having me. Super, super excited to be here. And yeah, when I saw you in person for the first time, I'm like, wait, I know you. Wait, I've worked with you wait, have I seen you? I've never seen you in person. Hey, how are you? So
I know. I'm like, you're like, this is the first time we're meeting. I'm like, I feel like I've talked to you forever for like the last couple of years. And so it was really cool to finally meet you in person. Totally. Right. And so you have been the magic, I say the secret ninja, along with the core leadership team for this team that I believe has broken historic growth records in our industry. And I want you to just like quickly kind of tell the audience in like a snapshot, quick version of like, where did you guys begin as far as agent count, production, and where are you guys at today? And how long did it take you? Just so that people could get a perspective.
Yeah. So just that, a Reader's Digest version in January of 2020, before pandemic hit, we were at a brokerage called Climb Real Estate. Climb Real Estate was owned by Realogy. And at that time, they made a decision to close Climb Real Estate, leaving us into free agency. So we interviewed every single brokerage in the market. And that's how I knew Kenny, the founder of Fast Real Estate. I left to take a salary position at another company for about 45 days. And Kenny took the team of 10 people at that time to eXp. And I'll tell you a little bit about that story in a minute. But Kenny and I talked for a couple months and he's like, I can't pay you, but I want to work with you again. I want you to come on as a sales manager. We're able to figure something out, a partnership. And I joined forces and I was actually the 25th person at this company. So when I joined forces with Kenny, the idea is let's create the number one team in the entire country. And let's do it really fast. And so we started out with 10 agents in a 300 square foot office in Jack London Square in Oakland, California. By the end of pandemic year, which is 2020, we ended up at right around 87 agents and we hit $127 million in production. So we established ourselves and we did an amazing job. Well, in 2021, we raised the bar, of course. We said, let's get even better. Let's get to 200 agents and let's get to $500 million in production. By the end of last year, we closed out the year at $674 million in production, and we closed close to 900 units, and we got our agent count to right around 220. What's cool about the story, Raquel, and we just found out last week, we've been telling everybody since that happened that we are the number 2 team in eXp last year. That was 70,000 people at that time. Well, Real Trends just came out last week, and it named us as number 1 in the entire company for sales volume. So it's humbling to even say it. And we just put our heads down. We worked hard. We surround ourselves with the right talent, built our leadership department and staff. And yeah, so that's really like the quick and skinny of where we are now. Number 1, it's crazy.
First of all, yes. And I have a story that I want to put on because I just saw that. And I was like waiting for the moment to actually post that because that's just been really cool just to see all of you guys' journey, to even see it from the very beginning, because people tend to see like the highlight reel of Team Fast. But I feel like I was there when like there was all the naysayers, when they said that they couldn't do it. There was no way that like Kenny and Elias and Karina were going to do this thing and like actually grow rev share and actually grow the company. And now expanding to like different markets, which I think is so cool. It's so cool. And the number 1 eXp team out of how many agents? Because you guys are bigger now.
Yeah. So eXp is over 80,000 now. And at the time we're at 70,000, but to be less than 2 years old and to say that we came in at number one, hey, I was okay with number two because I said this year we're going to be number one. Well, this year we have to solidify that and take the number one position 2 years in a row. That's what we're going
Yes. Yes. They always say it's easier to climb, but it's harder to even stay there. And there's no doubt I will be cheering you guys on to continue to have that number one spot, regardless of how many years there is to come with eXp and Team Fast. So,
because when you're number one, when you're number two, like there's people like, "Ooh, we want that. We want to chase that." So I think it elevates the game of other teams. And like, so we can't stay idle, which we never would, but like it makes us work even harder to keep that and be like, okay, there's a reason why we're number one. And it wasn't a one-hit wonder.
Yes, those are some massive, big numbers. I've been in this industry for over 2 decades, and that's massive growth. And if you think about it, it's like 10xing from where you guys actually started. And like people talk and throw that around because of our uncle, Grant Cardone, right? But like Team Fast is out actually living it. And so the question that I want to ask you is, what do you think contributed to that fast growth and your success for Team Fast?
So I think early on, when we look back, and I think you've had a really instrumental part in helping us, first off, from just like a leadership department, identifying what everyone's core competencies were and saying, okay, then if that's really what you're great at and that's really what you love to do, then just do that and it's okay. And I think early on, there was a lot of this going on. Like we were crossing paths and it would cause like, not animosity, but like frustration, like, hold on, I'm doing this. So I think getting in alignment with our leadership department. I think number two, like getting very, very crystal clear on what the vision was for the company and being able to share that with everybody that was attached to our association, right? It's like, this is what we're doing and this is where we're going and this is what you are a part of. And I think when people understand the vision, they support the vision and they want to grow that vision. And so being able to get people aligned with what the vision was for the company and is for the company. And we know that that will change, that will grow over time. But I think for us, like being able to get everyone in alignment with that vision has been super, super important. And as we look at the company and we looked at how we're going to grow and how we're going to attract people at a very, very high level, it wasn't about tangibles. And I tell this story all the time. The tangibles any brokerage can offer. It's the split, it's the tech, it's the tools, it's the offices, it's the support, some level of coaching, I'd hope. Those are the tangibles. What separates Fast Real Estate and Team Fast is the intangibles. And for us, it's been community, it's been culture, it's been vibe, it's been this energy, it's been this entity that you can't really put a finger on it, but you feel it and you know it's there and you know what, it feels really good. And I want to be a part of that. That's the intangible. So when we're talking to agents about joining our environment, yeah, the tech is there, the tools are there, support are there, but the intangibles are really, really what separates us from any other brokerage out there. Those words get tossed around a lot. Like, how does it feel? Like, this is a family. Well, I can't really explain my family. I just know how it feels to be a part of the family. And I think it's the same type of feeling when people are at our company. They can't really put a finger on it, but they know that it's special and that they want to be a part of it. And that's why they're here.
I think what has been so cool to watch as you guys have grown is to see that culture. And I get asked a lot is how important is culture and how do you maintain that culture as you like start to grow and expand now in different markets too?
This is my take on this. I think that the culture is important. I think culture is high arching what people see from the outside. I think what's even more important is community, and your community happens with inside of the culture. It's brotherhoods, it's sisterhoods, it's bonds, it's partnerships, it's these friendships. It's let's go and get noodles 3 times a week. Like that's what happens inside of the culture. And so it's super, super important. And I think that it's everything to us that when we go into new markets, like who are we bringing on? What is the talent? And do they understand everything that this company has to offer and like the heartbeat of who we are? And if they don't, and if they just want to run it to look like an insurance company, then they're not for us. Like, so it's important that everybody understands like how important that is and that we protect that. No matter what market we go to coast to coast, from, country to country, like that is at the corner of who we are. How are we protecting this brand? And how do people perceive that message that we're putting out to the consumers? Like, That's everything to us. Now, we're just starting to embark into new markets. And so we'll start to see how that plays out, but it's at the center of everything that we do. And I feel like I hold that on my shoulders at a very, very high level because I want to protect this brand at all costs, at all costs.
I love that. So as people look at Team Fast, and you guys obviously have grown, put some massive numbers, and people tend to see, like I said, your highlight reel. If we were to pull back the curtains a bit, like what have been some of the challenges you guys have had to deal with, or you have had to deal with in growing this organization?
Yeah, I love unsexy conversations, right? Because it's easy to talk about the glorification of what's happened, but like the unsexiness. Like when we launched Zillow Flex last year, great program, obviously, it comprised for about 18% of our overall production for the year. We think about that. Well, we were new to Zillow Flex. We didn't really know what we were doing. We're like, let's get squad leaders, right? Let's have squad leaders be like mid support people for these other agents and run their small little groups. Well, we went with who we thought was going to be the best for the job based on production and who they were in our environment. And it turned out it wasn't the best, because what we were doing is we were running our offense based on like how things felt. And that was one thing that we learned, like we can't make our decisions as a business based on how things feel. Although I feel like I'm a very touchy-feely person, but we had to remove and Tim Grover says it right. We didn't want to be heartless. We wanted to use our heart less. And in this situation, when it comes to Zillow Flex, I think this is where it was most applicable, is that we needed to manage the numbers based on just the data. We need to set minimum standards that we didn't have early on, and we needed to make sure that that was clear. So if somebody didn't hit a minimum standard, hey, we love you. It's not about you. This is about the data, and the data says that you didn't hit your numbers and you didn't follow through on your commitments. So now we're able to run a very lean program that we didn't do early on because we based on, oh, well, that's that person or that's that person, or we don't want to rock the boat. No, we made minimum standards after. We literally made minimum standards a year into the program, when we should have done that before we even launched the program. So that was one. And then two, you got to realize that cultures change. And what I mean by that is subcultures are created. When we first started the company, we didn't have group coaching. Now we have group coaching. A lot of the OGs don't come to group coaching, but it's okay. A new subculture is developed. And as we grow, new subcultures will form. As long as it's positive and they have the core principles and the core standards of the high arching company, then you're okay. It's when you have subcultures that are negative for your environment when you have to look at that. So, it's just been a learning lesson. It's just been a learning lesson, and we've made tons of mistakes and tons of challenges, but it's also helped us to really look in the mirror and then find the right people to run these programs such as Zillow Flex.
So good. So good. And, as I go around the country and consult different people, I think it's one thing to grow a team and it's another to get them in actual production. And you guys were able to do both. And as the person that leads the sales and as the director of sales and coaching, what were some of the key things you had to do to get agents productive really fast?
And I love talking about this. We really wanted to lean into the collective wisdom, right? I think I'm good as a coach. I think Kenny's good as a coach, but I think that there's power in that collective. So before I would do tons of individual one-on-one coaching, and my calendar would be back to back to back. I wouldn't even stand up. I didn't even have any water. It was just back to back. I'm like, hold on. I'm hearing the same things over and over and over again. So let's start putting people together. We started doing like script role play sessions 3 times a week. It was like 5 to 10 people. And then we'd share thoughts, energy, dialogue. Well, now it's become a part and a staple of our environment. It is group coaching, keep it moving coaching. That happens 3 times a week still. Well, now you leverage the whole entire room. So you're learning from a $40 million producer and you haven't even done your first million. You're learning from somebody that had 50 transactions and you're on your 4th. So we created this environment to where we're learning from each other, and we do the same thing on Slack. If you have a question, a concern, a thought, an idea, you put that in Slack, and before any of the leadership department can get to that question, agents are hovering to answer that. Here's a link. Here's my thoughts. Here's my resources. So we become better because we're all playing off of each other. And that's been a huge game changer because it's not singular, it's a universal. And when it's universal, you have so many people playing into people's successes.
I think that's so key with what you said, because most of the time when people build teams, everything falls and gets bottlenecked at the rainmaker of like, they're the only answer, especially when there's like newer agents. And you guys have been able to shift that in your community in leveraging other people within your community that want to step up. And, I always say that everything rises and falls on leadership. And you went from leading a few people now to leading hundreds of people. What skills did you need to learn or upgrade when it came to leadership?
So what I needed to learn, and I think you learn this the hard way. You think like, I might be a fit for everyone. Well, like you got to realize like you might not be everyone's coach, but what you can do is you can make sure that when you think about the company that you can help with the principles and standards. I think that I've done a good job in helping with the principles and the standards, but I don't want to try to be in someone's face that doesn't want me in their face. Here's an environment for you to produce in, and it's up to you to choose to get involved, whether you do or do not. Know that there's many other people in this organization that can help you and that can serve you. So, and I learned that from you. It's that it went from I, then it's like how can I show other people what I've done? Now we are going to do this together, and now let them do it and be able to be okay and to be able to be humble enough to say, you know what, go and do that. And that's going to be yours. And I'm happy for you. And, go do a better job than I can. So like being able to be okay with like relinquishing some control and then watching other stars arise in your environment, that was challenging for me. And I'll be honest, because I wanted to hold it so tight because it meant so. I get emotional talking about this. I wanted to hold it so tight because it meant so much to us because I was here since the start. But now as we grow, I can't be all things to all people. And if I try to be, then I'm going to miss. I'm going to create the best environment and allow people to choose to be successful, right? That's what John Cheplack taught us, is like, I'm not here to make anyone productive. We are here to create the highest and best environment for people to choose to be productive. And I think that's what we've done. So I had to relinquish the idea that like I can make people productive. Now there's probably other people that can help them in better ways, and just create a great environment for people to want to choose. And that's what I've learned along the way.
I think you couldn't have said it any better. And what you just said is a great example of true leadership. When you can drop ego and you can allow people and grow people. They always say the best leaders have, birth and grew other leaders around them and cheered them on. And so you are a great example of that, even with what you just said.
I was at a Warriors game for my first time last week.
I know, I was jealous.
Patty took me to the game. Okay, so shout out to you, Patty.
Yes, Patty.
She took me to the game. And I was like, she's like, I just wanted to do something nice for you. And I was like, it meant the world to me. I'd never been to a Warriors game. Go Warriors, by the way. And Poole made this shot from so far. And like Steph is behind him. And like, he just looks at him like, that's how I feel about like Cynthia and Eric. I look at him like, all right, I see you making that. Like Kenny's like, just pass them the ball. He's like, we know you can make the shots, Elias. Just pass them the ball. And like, I passed them the ball and like, just watched them. And it's just like, there you go. Like, that's how I felt. I had a similar feeling when Steph looked at Poole. I was like, okay.
That's when you know you got a good team, because it's never about like one person. And me, I like love sports, and the people that around them that make them Curry and that make them LeBron or Kobe or whatever is because they've got their people and their teammates that can get them open, right? That could screen for them. And, it's the same thing I think in business, is that you guys have to be cohesive. You have to have alignment, and ego, especially at pressure moments, it goes out the door because you're one team, right? Totally. And so you have so much passion to serve. And I've seen it from the very beginning. And I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, or people are trying to find their Elias in their organization. Why this route of you being the director of coaching and sales versus building your own real estate business? Was it always like this for you?
No, I came into leadership by chance in real estate. I'd always been a leader in other industries. I came to Coldwell Banker to hang my license. And I remember sitting next to the guy, or across from the guy's name was Don Tanagan. I was there for 5 minutes at headquarters in Concord, California for Coldwell Banker. Within 5 minutes, the dude tells me, "You're not a good fit for Coldwell Banker." All right, cool. We're getting ready to leave. Thank you for your time. The fire alarm goes off. Fire alarm goes off, and thousands of people had to vacate this or to evacuate the building. So we're all standing, going through the stairs, like all these things are going through your head. So we're standing outside, and I'm standing with the dude. I'm like, "Hey man, I don't think we're done with the conversation. Can we go over to this cafe across the street?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll hear you out." So we go over there, we start talking, and 30 minutes lead to 45 minutes, an hour long. And he's like, "You know what? We actually have an executive leadership position available. And if you're interested in it, you have some experience, obviously." He's like, "I want you to write the best email you've ever written and tell me why." He's like, "And make sure your LinkedIn is on point." And it wasn't. So I made sure it was. But then I wrote this email, and it was, I think, one of the best emails I've ever written. Within a week, I was in New Jersey. And then within 2 weeks, I was in Houston meeting with the vice president and president of Coldwell Banker. I ended up getting the position. And so I remember my now mentor, Don, who I thought was the biggest jerk in the world, which I still do. Love you, Don. But he pushed me. He's like, "I'm going to make you a world-class coach within 7 months, and I'm going to teach you how to run this business." And so it kind of came by chance. And then when I started to see the impact I was having on people, or people coming like, "Hey, thank you for being there for me," or that conversation that you had, or that group coaching meant the world to me and it got me out of a funk. And thank you for dropping those words of wisdom. Or, "Hey, coach, I want to send you this video and tell you how much that meant to me." I'm like, that feels good. That feels good. It felt better than me doing it. How can I help them elevate? And then it started to become something that I really, really crave. And now I do it at a high level. And now I'm seeing other people get that same craving because they're helping others. So it's like this perpetual cycle of serve, serve, serve. The money will come. That's a byproduct. We serve first and focus out, and the money is secondary. And I didn't really always feel like that at first. I felt like, "Oh, I'm just going to make a lot of money and then maybe help some people." And when I shifted that thought, man, my career changed. I'm happier. I'm happier because I'm giving more of myself than I ever have.
Oh my gosh. So they say that leadership is sometimes a thankless job, or leaders eat last. And so as we think about all the people you have to serve on a daily basis, what is it that Elias does in his routine or in his mindset that fills his cup first before filling other people's cup? Because it can be draining when you're leading lots of people and hundreds of people.
You can't expect it, right? You could do an amazing event. You could show up for the founder, for Kenny. You could, be there and feel like you did an amazing job. And then nobody says, "Hey, good job, attaboy." There was a time in my life where I felt like I really, really needed that. But I had to get secure with myself and be like, "Okay, let me just watch and look and see how people perform. And can I see any remnants of what we've talked about, or what I've coached them with, or what I've helped them with, or conversations that appear in their business?" And if you start to look closely enough, you'll start to see things and patterns and things that you've talked about, or maybe they've spoke about in group coaching. So it's an indirect way to get praise. So I had to let go of the thought that, "Oh, I need some praise for this." And then you wait, and then it's you set yourself up for failure because you set your expectations high and no one comes along to say, "Hey, good job." You have to find the attaboys within all the team's performance. I also read a lot, and I attend coaching myself. So our time with you is important. I'm sorry I missed our last session. That was my fault. But our time is important. And then my time with my coaching, people that I coach with, like John Cheplack and Coach Pipes, that time is really important. And then I read a lot. So people don't know, and I'll give you a quick insight. So before I do any group coaching, I always fill up 2 pages of notes. This is my time in the morning to think, to, as you would call it, brain dump. So I'm always putting together thoughts and dialogues and questions and thought-provoking things to bring up to the team. So I spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time writing. So when I'm on the mic and I'm in front of people, I have something that maybe it's not always fresh, but maybe it's a fresh reminder of what they already know. So I'm constantly finding ways to feed myself, coaching, events, presentations that I get to listen to, and then coaching for myself, coaching for our company, and then just trying to soak it in as much as I can as well.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. There's so many like nuggets and bombs that you dropped in that. And I know that you have a lot of experience and you're very growth minded when it comes to what a good coach is, or you've like just learned, right? And you've been coached by so many people. So what do you think makes a good coach or a director of sales for those that are listening and thinking about hiring their Elias or their director of sales or their coach for the company?
I think that you have to look at the modern day real estate leaders. And I think that the days of like having a branch manager also be a sales leader, a sales coach, review documents, be a deal doctor, and be the God a minute person. I think that that time has really left us and that we are in a completely different shift of how leaders are leading in today's market. I think that if you're looking for a leader in a sales organization, particularly in this case, needs to have some level of EQ and know how to reach someone's like third level, I call it, like the emotional motivators of a human being. I feel that's why human development is talked about more so now than ever. And I think that when you are able to tap into the human, you're able to tap into the agent. I'm not the KPI you to death. I'm not the numbers you got to death. But what I am is how can I develop the human in order for you to be more disciplined, to make the calls, to do the things that you know you need to do? Let's work on the human first. So I think that a leader of tomorrow, if you're looking for identifying somebody like that, needs to have some sense of EQ and know how to move production based on feelings. And a lot of people 10 years ago weren't talking about that. And I think it's more important now in our business than it ever has been. And I think as a society, we're more sensitive to things than we ever have been. We talk about more things than we ever have been. So I think that there needs to be a level of empathy, needs to be a level of grit. Those are also the things that I look for in an agent. So yeah, I think being super empathetic, understanding emotions of a human being and how to drive performance based on human development.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is so key, especially when you start to see patterns in people, right? And to unlock their patterns so that they can have that breakthrough to get the results that sometimes as a coach, like you already see it in them. And it's like up to, Elias to unlock whatever that is that's like blocking them from actually performing at their Stephen Curry level, right? And so you talked a lot about like the next like phase or like what you would look for in a leader. What would be your prediction when it comes to teams, expansion, and real estate in the future? And how are you guys positioning yourself for the future?
So the question is, how do I see like teams evolving?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be less about like large brokerages and big box names. And I think it's going to be more so about these teams that are really working tight, have like these cool cultures, this really open platform, this sense of collaboration. The days of like we covet information and we don't share, I think those are days that have gone by the wayside, right? This idea of let's create this cool type of like future forward thinking. Let's use tech to enhance this consumer experience. Let's talk about emotional motivators. Let's get into the trenches with each other. I think that's what's going to be important moving forward. And I think it is now. So I think like less separation and more collaboration as we move forward. And I think that you're going to see people wanting to join more teams because they could be a part of something that they can really see the growth of versus being part of the big box names. The biggest box names are important, but I think now if you're with a team or a company or organization that can help you really showcase who you are as a human and showcase your own personal branding, that's where agents are leaning to, because that's what's more important more than ever in our business is agent centric, not broker centric. That's where I see us going.
Love it all. And I love just seeing, like I said, your growth, your passion for this business, your passion to help grow people. What is next for Elias and what are you most excited about that you're working on?
So what I'm most excited about is growing out my department. I have a head of new agent development. His name's Eric King. And then we have head of education and mentorship, and that's Cynthia Peterson. Like I know that I'm really hard, and what I'm hard on is I'm hard on standards, and like there's just this way that they probably would say, yeah, he's kind of hard on it, but he comes to us from love. So like I'm really passionate about watching them grow and then creating Eric's in different areas, whether it's Southern California, whether it's New Jersey, whether it's whatever states we're in, like creating that in different markets, having Cynthia almost create like this national program as we go nationally, me moving into like more of like I don't know if the title even exists, like a VP role of like sales and growth and coaching, to where I'm coaching these leaders on how to do things that I've done over the years, and then kind of creating that playbook for them versus me just coaching agents. I want to coach the leaders on how to lead better and to really take this brand to the next level. I see us getting to around 2,500 agents over the next 2.5 years. And I can't do that just a team of 3. It's going to have to be a team of 20, 25 people over the next couple of years. So that's where I see myself growing.
So good. And today you dropped a lot of wisdom, a lot of things when it came to growth, a lot of things when it came to leadership, production. Where can people connect with you?
They can connect with me on Instagram. It's just Elias Astuto, ELIASASTUTO. In my bio, you guys will have all my contact information. You could also schedule a time to meet with me and to chop it up to talk strategy. Anytime my calendar link is in there, but Instagram is my platform.
So good. And we will also drop his handle in the show notes so that you guys can connect with him. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every guest on this show is, what is one thing that Elias does to play bigger in business and in life?
In life, all right, we'll start there. I listen to a lot of music. And so it allows me to like put myself in a state of mind of like when that music was being created, the creative juices behind it. So I listen to a lot of music, and then I try to find like purpose and why it was written. I look at the lyrics. And so I spend a lot of time, like I'm actually in my studio / office right now. So music is a way that I play bigger. And then when I think about how I'm playing bigger in business, it's really getting on more stages. It's leveraging the people that I'm meeting at all these events and then saying, how can we mastermind, or how can I bring you in as a guest to speak to my team so they can hear what you spoke about so eloquently on stage? Can you just come and say that to our team? So instead of just taking the notes, having those relationships and following each other on Instagram, like I want to build and I want to leverage their insights and bring that back to the table. So that's how I'm playing bigger right now. And it's already happening.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Elias, for being on our show today. I know your time is extremely valuable. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on our show. I appreciate being a partner with you through this journey. And I'm excited to keep playing bigger.
Well, me too. And you guys, if you're watching this, I have COVID right now. I'll tell you what, there's no excuses in the world to show up. Sometimes you got to find it deep within yourself, but I was excited about this and I wasn't going to miss it for the world.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Elias, for being so transparent. I was going to allow him to say that. And this is what true leaders do. You show up even when you don't always feel 100%. You don't always feel good. And this is why I say, like, he's one of the best leaders in this industry that I've ever met. And I'm excited for what's next for you and all the growth and all the lives that you are going to continue to impact. And just want to thank you so much for being such a difference maker in our industry.
Well, we appreciate you, and I have nothing but love and respect for you. So looking forward to playing bigger with you in the future.